It's time for overtime.
Now that's a tourist attraction.
In the world of sports, it's all about the playmakers in today's headlines, from locals to the pros, with interviews from local standouts and sports all-stars across the country that will have you talking.
Turns, shoots, scores! There it is! All hail the new king in town!
Hear from coaches to players, sports analysts, and broadcasters who are a part of the action every day. Overtime, now with Bert Ramin on ESPN 102.3 AM 1000 KSOO, Sioux Falls sports leader.
Welcome in. It's an early start to hour number 2 because it's an early exit today on Overtime. You're tuned in to hour number 2 before the top of the noon hour. Hope everybody's having a great hump day. Just about downhill rolling into the weekend. Thanks for tuning us in and making us a part of your day and work week right here on ESPN Sioux Falls. Certainly appreciate that as always. Still to come on today's show, headlines and highlights, the good, the bad, the ugly, and more. We're off the air at 12:30 to make way for the Twins pregame coverage. 1:10 the start time today. Twins go for another sweep of the Chicago White Sox. This time on the road. Scorecard now first before we dive into your headlines. Things get a little bit more interesting, and for certain teams, get a little bit more final in the NHL. First things first, Toronto and Boston. Back and forth they go. Boston was looking to close out the Leafs last night, and it took overtime, but Toronto says,
Tavares down the right wing, trying to barge to the front of the goal. He does! They score! They score! The Leafs have won the game! Nice jumping it in as Tavares one-handed in front. The Leafs are coming home, and they've won Game 5 by a score of 2-1. Holy mackerel, what a play!
That's former Gopher Matthew Nyes with the game winner there in overtime. 2-1 the final. Audio there courtesy of TSN 1050. The Carolina Hurricanes were looking for the win to solidify the series last night. Series victory over the Islanders. They do just that. Carolina wins 6-3 the final.
Whip it across. Chance for that shot. Doesn't get through. The rebound gets out. And it's gone! Jack Drury, his first career playoff goal as Carolina 4-3.
Nice time for a first career playoff goal there for Drury. 99.9 the Fan. Carolina wins 6-3. They win the series 4-1. Same score, same deal for the Avs on the road over Winnipeg. The Jets, a ungracious early exit from the postseason, falling to Colorado 6-3 last night. Avs win the series 4-1. Lastly, Nashville continues the series against Vancouver. Surprising road win. Final score there 2-1. Game 6 in Nashville coming up in due time. We got a Game 5 and a game, or 2 Game 5s rather, coming up tonight. Golden Knights at Stars, 6:30 on ESPN. And that series tied 2 games apiece. Edmonton looking to end the series tonight against the Kings. They play host to the Kings at home, 9 o'clock on ESPN, where the Oilers hold a 3-1 advantage in the series. The NBA brought the Thunder again last night. Philadelphia wins in overtime over the Knicks. This one was pretty darn close throughout. Philly had to make a comeback. Tyrese Maxey a big part of that, including this big bucket to propel the game into OT.
Maxey's got the ball, looking to go to overtime. Maxey for a 3 straight away. It's good. 8 seconds to go. He made it. Sixers tied at 97. Got to stop Brunson.
Final score in overtime, 112-106. Maxey with a team-high 46 points. Audio there, 97.5 The Fanatic. Other good game last night, Orlando and Cleveland. Cleveland edges the Magic 104-103 as the Cavs take a 3-2 series advantage there. And the Milwaukee Bucks won't go away. They find a way to win at home when they needed it the most. They were down 3-1 in the series last night. Now it's a 3-2 series gearing up for Game 6. Here's WTMJ on the call of a bucket from Bobby Portis.
8-2 run for the Bucks. Beverly with 11 assists. Portis comes away with a steal at midcourt. He's going the other way, and he will fuck it home. Well, Indiana appears to have folded up the tents.
115-92. Wouldn't bank on the Pacers folding it up for Game 6 or 7, but we are pushed to a Game 6 there. Indiana still leads that series 3-2. Chris Middleton, 29 points to lead Milwaukee, tonight in the NBA, Heat at Celtics, 6:30 on TNT. Boston leads that series 3-1. Mavericks and Clippers tied 2 games apiece. Can't be settled tonight, but it's a 9 o'clock start time on TNT. Now, a question that's on everybody's mind is about the future of LeBron James. Bobby Marks, NBA analyst and front office insider, commenting on the feasibility of something we heard about for a long time. LeBron James, Bronny James playing together in L.A., somewhere else. How feasible is that? Here's Bobby Marks.
I don't know about the appetite. I think we're probably past that point. I think LeBron has tempered it a little bit as far as the ability. I'm sure he would love to play with him. I do think it's a little more tempered than it was maybe a year ago. I said it yesterday. Lakers have the 55th pick in the draft. If they keep that pick, I would be stunned. And if Bronny stays in the draft, I would be stunned if he's not picked at 55, if he's still there on the board.
Interesting stuff there in terms of a uniting of LeBron James and his son Bronny James on an NFL or NBA squad. Could be the Lakers, could be elsewhere. We did hear from Brian Windhorst yesterday, who believes that James is not retiring, but he is likely to exercise his out and his option in his contract and not stay with the LA Lakers. We'll wait and see. Interesting offseason ahead for the game's brightest star in recent memory. Game's brightest star in the future certainly is up for debate and up for conversation. Norris Cole, though, says it's Anthony Edwards.
He's a leader. He's leading Cat. He's leading Rudy. He's leading that franchise. You can see as he's getting better, the franchise is getting better. And so, that's what I'm impressed with the most. And then obviously his on the court, his skill set, his ability to play above the rim, his ability to play below the rim, his ability to take and make big shots when it counts the most. He's cut from that Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant cloth. And that's what makes him different than all the other two guards that are playing. He looks different than every other two guard playing today because he's cut from that cloth and playing both sides of the ball.
There's a lot of well-deserved love lately for Anthony Edwards. He and the Timberwolves gear up for Game 1 of the Western Conference semifinals Saturday night. Head coach Chris Finch, latest there, still undergoing that surgical procedure on the patella. And we'll wait and see exactly how that impacts him for being physically on the sideline, maybe back in the locker room. We will wait and see. But certainly pretty darn interesting days ahead for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards leading the way. On to Major League Baseball. Cubs lost to the Mets yesterday on the road 4-2. St. Louis won in Detroit 2-1 in Game 1. Lost to Detroit in Game 2 of a doubleheader 11-6. Colorado Rockies lost in extras down in Miami 7-6 the final yesterday. And other notable scores. Milwaukee beats Tampa Bay 8-2. But that was not the story in the game. Benches clearing brawl that occurred and started near the first base line.
Abner trying to put that last outing against the Yankees. Oh, now we have some punches being thrown as Abner Uribe and Siri into it. And the benches have cleared. And the Brewers are not having it. Rhys Hoskins in the middle of it. And that escalated very, very quickly.
It did escalate quickly. Suspensions, fines, probably likely coming for that one that started at first base with the base runner and the tagging player getting into it there. 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee. Elsewhere, Cleveland and Houston. The Astros aren't typically too nice and not somebody you root for if you're a Twins fan, but you rooted for them yesterday as it took extras, but they take care of AL Central leading Cleveland.
And that is hit well and hit deep to right. Going back is Laureano looking up. See you later! See you later! See you later! A walk-off two-run homer for the pinch hitter Victor Caratini. And the Astros win it in the bottom of the 10th, 10-9.
10-9 the final. Cleveland with the loss, now 19-10, starting to come back to earth a little bit. Minnesota and Chicago. Twins refusing to come back to earth lately. Caleb Thielbar earns the win in a 6-5 road win over Chicago, and it was Johan Duran with the ball in his hand late as he finishes the job for win number 9 in a row for Minnesota.
The 1-ball, 2-strike pitch to Andrew Vaughn. Here it comes. Swung on and missed. He struck him out. He got him with a curveball. Johan Duran, welcome back, and the Twins have won 9 in a row. It wasn't pretty, but it counts. The Twins have won 9 straight games. They've defeated the White Sox now 7 consecutive times. 6-5 the final. Another one-run win with Max Kepler plating Byron Buxton in the 9th inning for the winning run for the second consecutive night.
Chris Atterbury on the call there. Minnesota Twins Radio Network 16-13, the new record for Minnesota. Today and tonight in Major League Baseball, pair of 12:10 start times, 2 minutes away. Cardinals at Tigers, Rays at Brewers. 1:10 the start for the Twins at the White Sox. 12:30 pregame coming up here in 20 minutes on ESPN Sioux Falls. Other matchups today, Royals at Blue Jays, Rockies at Marlins, Cubs at Mets, Guardians at Astros to lead off the day in Major League Baseball. NFL draft is over. Rookie minicamp and minicamp in general still ahead for all of your teams and franchises across the country. Michelle Smallman talking about the Chicago Bears, what's realistic, what defines success this year for Caleb Williams, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and so many more talented players there in the Windy City.
A playoff win is what I view success as, or maybe just making the playoffs for Caleb Williams. To Cece's point, they put so much talent around him. This is a team that on paper should be much better than their 7-10 mark that they had last year. And I know we're always going to link him with CJ Stroud, as Cece mentioned, because the Bears passed on that opportunity to draft him last year. Despite the division being tough, I look at Caleb Williams, and I think if he can lead the Chicago Bears to the playoffs, we're going to view this season as a success.
We are outside of our minds as sports fans, absolutely, totally outside of our minds. If you think that Caleb Williams coming in as a rookie quarterback, and I'm not saying it won't happen, but the expectation and what defines success is a playoff win. A win in the postseason, pretty darn hard to do for any quarterback. Jordan Love and the Packers got lucky to do that last year. And that was a very young team. But the Chicago Bears are 7-10. We're acting like they're a win-now, playoff-winning great roster. They have a good roster. They added some pieces, but they still have a rookie quarterback. And if the NFL tells you anything about rookie quarterbacks, it's this. They stink. They slow to process. They can't protect themselves. They make bad decisions. They lose games. They take time to get good, if they get good at all. The fact that we're already saying the Bears are a playoff team in a very tough division where the Vikings or the Bears are probably the worst team right now, and they ain't that bad, I think that is patently false right now to expect the Chicago Bears not to make the playoffs, but to win a playoff game. I think success this year for Chicago is growth, and I'm talking statistical growth. Hey, does Caleb look the part? Can we protect him? Did we utilize the weapons we have? Chicago won 7 games last year. That was pretty darn nice. They played well down the stretch. That team was awful for the first 10 games of the year. Really bad football team, and they did it with Justin Fields, a guy who, if you said, hey, you're going to get this performance out of a rookie quarterback, you'd say, hey, sign me up. If you do the statistical analysis of what Fields was last year and the year before, you'd say, man, a rookie quarterback with those stats, sign me up, and they still won just 7 games. For you to say, hey, they're going to get to the postseason and win a game, and that defines success, you're talking about 9. 10, maybe 11 wins for the Chicago Bears this year for a rookie quarterback that got some weapons. But again, are the Bears really a playoff team? Who you taking out from last year's playoffs and taking a team in for Chicago instead? Because you got to pluck out the Rams. You got to pluck out the Packers. You got to pluck out other teams there that made the postseason. I don't think Chicago should define their success by a playoff win as much as, what did we do for Caleb? How's he looking? It takes time more often than not. These guys, the Andrew Lucks, the Russell Wilsons, the Joe Burrows of the world, clearly are a big-time statistical outlier, and I think it'll take time in Chicago, even with a guy that is as hyped up and as exciting as Caleb Williams. It will take some time. Now into your Reliabank headlines of the day. South Dakota seniors Aaron Kinney and Dylan Couts were selected as the Summit League's Peak Performers of the Week by TicketSmarter for the period that ended April 28th. Kinney's a native of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, collected her 13th career weekly honor from the league office, and Couts, who hails from just down the road in Norfolk, Nebraska, garners the first weekly honor from the Summit League in his career. South Dakota wraps up the regular season on Friday with the USD tune-up at Lillibridge Track Complex down in Vermilion. The NSIC regular season conference champion Augustana softball team led the NSIC with 9 all-conference selections, including 7 coming on the first team. Announced by the league yesterday, the Vikings are highlighted by NSIC Player of the Year Gracie Brink and newcomer and Pitcher of the Year Grace Glanzer. Brink led the NSIC in batting average with .494. Is that good? It's great. An on-base percentage plus slugging of 1.534 across 28 games, and she had 36 runs and 46 hits over 81 at-bats, homered 9 times. Gracie Brink, your NSIC Player of the Year. Grace Glanzer led the league with a .72 ERA and was the pitcher and the newcomer of the year. 14-0 record, 88 innings of work, and gave up only 12 runs through 14 starts this season thus far. A lot to look forward to for Augustana softball. All of those players recognized. GoAugie.com. The Sioux Falls Stampede let go of their coach earlier this week, late last week, and now they've got their new head coach. The Stampede are excited to announce the hiring of Ryan Crothers as the team's new head coach. Crothers joins the Stampede as the 10th head coach in team history after spending last year at the helm of the Fayetteville Marksmen of the Southern Professional Hockey League down in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Under his leadership, both as head coach and the director of hockey operations, the Marksmen marked a record of 31-19-6 last year. 31-19-6-0, rather. Prior to the move to Fayetteville, Crothers served as the assistant coach of the Stampede during the 2022-2023 season and helped several players on to their professional hockey dreams. Welcome to Sioux Falls once again, the new head coach of the Sioux Falls Stampede, Ryan Crothers. USF Cougar softball landed 2 NSIC All-Conference nods in freshman Riley Shisho and junior Elena Nauman. The NSIC announced the 2024 All-Conference teams earlier yesterday, with 2 landing second-team recognition. Up next for USF softball, slated to take on St. Cloud State today at noon. They're underway during the opening round of the NSIC Softball Championships. Follow along with that game and everything USF Cougar softball, usfcougars.com. 14th rated Augustana softball team takes on Northern State to close out the regular season road schedule this afternoon. First pitch is slated for 2:30 in the afternoon. As always, follow along, goaugie.com/live. The Vikings lead Minnesota State by just 1.5 games for first place in the NSIC, with Augie having 5 games remaining and Minnesota State having just 3 more games on their schedule. Magic number for the Vikings is 3, meaning that they need a combination of 3 wins or Maverick losses to win the NSIC regular season title. Vikings are 56-9 all-time against Northern State and 18-1 up in Aberdeen. Northern State 18-26 this year. Augustana again 36-8. The overall record for head coach Tim Huber and the Vikings. Let's round out your Reliabank headlines of the day with this. After the New York Knicks completed a miraculous comeback in Game 2 of their first-round series against the Sixers at MSG last week, Sixers guard Tyrese Maxey vowed to make up for his turnover and missed shot in the closing moments that helped cost his team the game. Last night, with Philadelphia's season seemingly over, Maxey not only made up for it, he somehow did something even more absurd. Thanks to his 7 points in the final 29 seconds of regulation, back-to-back threes, the first of which he was fouled on by Mitchell Robinson for a 4-point play, the Sixers erased a 6-point lead inside the final 30 seconds and went on to claim a 6-point overtime victory in Game 5, preserving the season, preserving the series, and pushing to a Game 6 back home in Philly. What was going on through my mind was trying to survive, said Maxey, who had 46 points in 52 minutes. Our season is on the line. I trust my work. I trust what I've done all my life, and I just tried to get to a spot, raise up, and knock the shot down. That's what he did. Down 7 with 28.9 seconds to go. You tie the game, push it to overtime, dominate overtime. Philly is not done. Can't wait for Game 6 in that series. Can't wait for what's to come next. It's the good, the bad, the ugly to round out an early exit on the show today, off the air at 12:30 for the Minnesota Twins pregame coverage. We're back with the good, bad, and ugly from the sports world when overtime continues on a Wednesday next.
Stream Stream us online, stream us on the app. Streaming now. Overtime with Bert Ramin on ESPN 102.3 and AM 1000 KSOO. Sioux Falls sports leader.
Right back with you on a early exit Wednesday edition of Overtime. We're clearing off the air here in just a few minutes, making way for the Minnesota Twins pregame coverage at 12:30. First pitch time, 1:10 on the Minnesota Twins radio network. Minnesota Twins on the radio right here on ESPN 102.3 AM 1000 KSOO. As per usual on the show, it's time to hit you with the good, the bad, the ugly from the sports world. A lot to get to. Let's hit it.
Many days there are those who can be called a problem child. You know the ones. They have a tendency to display an ugly side. They have their whiny moments. Some display an outright bad side of themselves. And then there are those who stand out in a good way. Well, here they are. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Have you ever heard a swarm of bees being dubbed a good thing? I'm going to tell you that right now. Swarm of bees created quite the baseball buzzkill out in the desert and gave Arizona Diamondbacks fans a new hero. The start of Tuesday night's game between the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers was delayed nearly 2 hours after a bee colony swarmed the top of the protective netting behind home plate. Matt Hilton turned into the star of the night for removing the bees, earning a brief slice of stardom and the nod to throw out the ceremonial first pitch at Chase Field. Minor leagues to the big leagues now, said Hilton, branch manager for Blue Sky Pest Control's Phoenix office. It's pretty cool, he said. Buzz started about 5 minutes before first pitch. Mike Rock, the Diamondbacks vice president of baseball operations, got a call from the senior manager of events telling him a growing colony of bees was collecting atop the netting. She doesn't usually call me about that time. I knew something was odd, Rock said. She said, we have bees landing on the net right behind home plate. I said, how many? And she said, hundreds, no way, thousands. And I knew we had a problem. Bee swarms common during the spring in Arizona have caused numerous spring training delays throughout the year. And Matt Hilton, Pest Control, Phoenix office of Blue Sky Pest Control, the hero of the night. And the coolest part about all of it is not only did they get this guy on speed dial, he gets out there, gets the job done, but they have the common sense to make this pretty darn fun for the fans. He throws out the first pitch in the bee gear as well. I'm allergic to bees. I couldn't do that, but pretty darn cool stuff for Matt Hilton, the Diamondbacks, and the LA Dodgers. Other good news, it's good news for the Missouri side of Kansas City and the Chiefs. Some Kansas lawmakers see a chance to lure the Kansas City's two biggest professional sports teams across the Missouri River, but an effort to keep this to help the Super Bowl champion Chiefs and Royals finance new stadiums in the state fizzled over concerns about how it might look to taxpayers. Members of the Republican-controlled legislature pushed a bill Tuesday that would have allowed Kansas officials to authorize at least $1 billion with a B dollars in bonds to cover the entire cost of building each new stadium, paying the debt off with tax revenues generated in the arena over 30 years. But GOP leaders didn't bring it up for a vote before lawmakers adjourned their annual session early on Wednesday. Some critics derided the plan as corporate welfare. Others were receptive but didn't want to pass the proposal until the legislature approved a broad package of tax cuts for the constituents that Democratic Governor Laura Kelly would sign, which didn't happen either. It's at an impasse right now. I don't think we'll have the Kansas City Royals or the Kansas Royals, Kansas City, Kansas Chiefs. It's still on the Missouri side for now. I think it stays that way. On to the ugly. Things continue to get ugly. The series of $500,000 payments Ippei Mitsuhara sent from Shohei Ohtani's bank account to an illegal bookmaking operation were forwarded to California and Las Vegas casinos, where the money was deposited in gambling accounts, converted to playing chips, and later cashed out to pay the bookie. Multiple sources with direct knowledge of the operation told ESPN. The description of what happened to Ohtani's money sheds new light on the ongoing federal probe Globe that drew global attention after his interpreter, Ippei Mitsuhara, was accused of stealing roughly $16 million from the Dodgers slugger to feed what he has dubbed a gambling addiction. Matthew Boyer, the California bookmaker who took Mitsuhara's bets, was a frequent customer at Las Vegas Casino Resorts World. The sources told ESPN that Mitsuhara paid his losses to Boyer's associate, who forwarded the money to his own quote-unquote marker accounts at Resorts World and Pechanga Resort Casino in Southern California. The men then withdrew chips from the market account, gambled with them, and if they won, cashed out. Interesting scheme there, and another ugly layer to the Ippei Mitsuhara Shohei Ohtani gambling saga. And again, Ohtani not reportedly or allegedly involved still in this, but it is ugly. UGLY, underline it. And that's a good candidate for the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're off the air early. Enjoy Twins pregame coming up just now on Overtime or on ESPN Sioux Falls. We'll talk to you tomorrow, 11 to 1. Dustin Baker, Vikings draft breakdown tomorrow. Talk to you then on Overtime.